Hey, it's Haley, and this is the Real MP3s. A year ago, I launched this podcast, and I hit the ground running right away with one of my most memorable stories of sitting down and having a conversation with Billy Corgan. No pressure, right? No, that is not what happened, because that is the most nervous I've ever been for an interview. Just putting a new spin on this story to celebrate 1 year, and I appreciate you listening. Hey, welcome back. You made it. This is Haley, this is the Real MP3s, and we are celebrating 1 year of the little podcast that could, also known as the Real MP3s. Bear with me, this is my second time recording this bitch because my tripod decided to run out of light. Perfect, right in the middle of my episode, and instead of just finishing the second half, I'm like, fuck it, I'm re-recording the whole thing. Would this technically be the third time I'm recording this episode? Since we are celebrating 1 year, I'm a week early, but June 4th, 2025 is when the Real MP3s was launched. So a year later, I'm just going to go ahead and re-record the very first episode, which was my Billy Corgan episode. I just hit the ground running and just started telling all my stories of really cool people that I've met and interviewed. And it started as just audio, but now since I'm on YouTube and you can watch me talk about my stories, talking about people or to people, I decided to re-record it in video form. And also in the first episode of my Billy Corgan episode, it was me saying like, oh, he said this, and then I said this, and then he said this, and it was so funny. I'm like, I have the video. I have the footage of it. I'll just show it to you. I don't know if I was weirded out, like if there was going to be some kind of like copyright or something like that, but I'm like, it's my interview. I did it. So what the hell ever. So yeah, so to celebrate 1 year of the Real MP3s, I'm going to remaster the Billy Corgan episode, bringing this sucker back. Stories welcome at HaleySt.John.com/podcast or therealmp3s.com. What better way to celebrate 1 year of the Real MP3s by bringing back the interview that sent me into a minor heart attack because I was so nervous. When I say this is the most nervous I've ever been, in general, for an interview, yes. But in general, this is the most nervous I've ever been. I was so intimidated. I was so scared. I was to the point where I was like questioning if I even want to do this for a living anymore. It sounds dramatic, but I'm like, I feel like I should have a little better handle of my emotions than I'm doing right now. But I sometimes get myself worked up before interviews because I want them to go well, right? I want them to go well, and especially if it's somebody as fucking legendary as Billy Corgan, dude, I want it to go well. And all the things, like it was a video interview, it was in person, so that's when you really have to make sure it's buttoned up and it's looking good, because it's much harder to edit video than it is like over the phone. And also, when I'm doing video or when I'm doing interviews like in person on video, I'm raw dogging that shit, okay? I'm not going to have my notepad out. Okay, so my next question. No, I'm raw dogging it, and I'm going to have no notes. Just no crutches. So, yeah, I went for it. And also, the first interview I was supposed to do with Billy Corgan was back in 2014. I was brand new to the station, and I hardly had any interviews under my belt. So, of course, they give the new girl Billy Corgan over the phone. And I don't remember what happened. It ended up not working out. And I was super upset about it, right? I'm like, man, that would have been so cool to talk to him. But after it didn't work out, a couple of my coworkers were like, maybe it's for the best that it didn't work out, because I've heard he's kind of a hard interview. And ever since then, I'm thinking, okay, I lucked out, and it's okay that it never happened, because I guess he's hard to interview. That emotion stuck with me when I had this opportunity. But whenever you get asked, it's a yes. It's not very often I say no to an interview opportunity. But especially with somebody like Billy Corgan, when it's in person and they're like, we want to invite you to, what was the name of the studio? I think it was called Love Shack Studio, where Billy was in Nashville. And fuck yeah, I'm going to say yes to that, even though I'm like, oh my God, So I remember this being one of those things where you just had like no time for it. It was like in the middle of a busy week. But when they ask you, duh, fuck yeah, I'm going to make this happen. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make this happen. But I made time for it. I'm so glad I did, because it went so much better than I anticipated. But it was me and then our promotions director, Cliff. I told Cliff, I'm like, I know you don't have time for this, neither do I, but we're going to make time for it, okay? And he's like, I get to meet Billy Corgan? Yeah, man. Okay, so Cliff and I went down to Love Shack Studios. And I remember the first thing that they told me is when I agreed to it, whatever, they said, you cannot talk about Smashing Pumpkins. And I'm like, that sucks. What the hell am I supposed to talk about? And sometimes that's standard. Like sometimes that does happen. When several years ago, when I had a phone call with Slash, they're like, you can't talk about Guns N' Roses. And it sucks because I have so many like, who wouldn't talk about Guns N' Roses with Slash? But he was on the road with Miles Kennedy, and they're like, you can't talk about Guns N' Roses. It's got to be strictly Miles Kennedy. I get that. It's just, I want to know more about GNR. Same exact thing with Billy Corgan. He had some kind of docu-series, like mini like YouTube documentary on YouTube about him going all over the country to the Midwest and southern states, and he would perform at like little music venues or dive bars, and it would just be him and his guitar, and he'd go around and just tape the whole thing. I remember watching through it once. I can't tell you anything about it anymore, but they're like, you cannot talk about Smashing Pumpkins. You talk about this and this only. And I'm like, I feel like there's only so many things I can ask him. It's like, so you played in Oklahoma. Tell me about that. What is there to talk about? So the nerves kick in went for so many different reasons. When, first of all, it's like the amount of things that you have to talk about, slim to none. Second of all, I've heard he's a hard interview, and oh my God, I don't know if I can. So that, and it's Billy fucking Corgan, dude. It's Billy fucking Corgan. Like, I was so intimidated and I was so nervous to talk to him. And I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, I better not fuck this up. I was so scared to talk to him. I was so nervous. And even at like other interviews I've seen, or whether it's like a VIP or like meet and greet kind of thing, if someone asks him a stupid question or if he feels offended, he will straight up call you out. And I mean, rightfully so. If someone's being an asshole, then fine. And surely I'm not going to ask him anything that's going to like piss him off or anything like that. But I've seen that, you don't want to rub him the wrong way. So the whole time I'm like, I'm going to be calling him yes, sir, everything. Like, I was just so nervous to talk to him, completely forgetting that he's a human being. I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to Billy Corgan. So me and Cliff go down to Love Shack Studios in Nashville. It's on Music Row, cool music studio. And usually what happens is they have somebody from his team, like a manager or something, come greet us and then take us back to the room that he's in or something like that. It's pretty standard. So Cliff and I are in the lobby of the studio and we're waiting on the couch, and some other people from a station come out of the room, and Billy comes right out of the studio with them and sits down on the couch with us. And he's like, hey guys, what's up? And we start chit-chatting. We weren't talking about the interview. We weren't talking about music. We weren't talking about anything. We were just chit-chatting, talking about Nashville, what's going on. And it was super chill. And I had a moment where I'm like, is this really happening? Like, just sitting on the couch and chit-chatting with him just for a second, my nerves went from 20 out of 10 to, they were still pretty high, probably an 8 out of 10. After that, they were still pretty damn high. But I thought just for a minute when he was talking to us, I'm like, he doesn't have to spend any more time with us than he has to. I think it's really cool that he just sat down and started chit-chatting with us. The nerves went down tremendously. He did not know how much I needed that. I actually really needed that because I was sweating it. Oh, your girl was shaking in her boots getting ready for this interview. But I thought that was super notable of him to just hang out with us and before the interview even started. I really loved that. And it was in the lobby and nobody took us back to the room he was in. He's like, all right, well, you ready? So we go back and we start the interview. Another thing they said, they're like, oh, make sure you don't use an iPhone video, because I'm like, dude, that's all I got. Okay. So, and I didn't have a tripod. Cliff was my tripod. So I'm just like, I hope it's cool with you. And then I had borrowed this little device. It was like this mini microphone device. And I'm like, this is all I got. Okay. So we get things set up for the interview and we start the interview. And in the first episode, like I said, it was just audio and I'm telling you what happened, but I have the interview right here in front of me. It's like, I'll just go ahead and play it back. And what I love so much about telling you stories like this, of course, I can tell you that Billy was an awesome person, and I got overworked and freaked out for absolutely no reason because he was a fine human being. And the on-camera moments were great, but the off-camera moments that don't make it into like what you see here, sometimes those are just as good, if not better. You know, I was just so happy with the way it was going. Like I was just so happy that he took that extra time with us. I thought that was so cool, and I've never seen that before. So the on-camera portion, I'm going to play it back for you. I'm Haley St. John, and I'm so happy to be spending the day with William Patrick Corgan. Can I call you Billy? Or
you can call me Billy, yeah. It's kind of a joke, the whole Billy William thing.
Okay, I'll call you.
It started as a joke, and it's still kind of a joke, but people really get worried they're going to offend me, and you can pretty much call me anything.
I better call him William, otherwise this interview's over.
Billy is totally fine, yeah. It's like a dog. I answer to Billy every time.
Okay. Well, I'll call you whatever you want me to. So, not like anything weird like sir or anything like that, right?
No.
Mr. Corgan.
When people started calling me Mr. when I hit my 30s, I was like, I'm really getting old.
Kind of like when people call me ma'am, I'm like, oh, stop. That's enough of that.
Well, I grew up in a world where you're supposed to address people formally, but ma'am is usually reserved for someone older than you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that was such a cool icebreaker. Like, none of that was planned. And like I said, he really set the mood. His poor posture is so terrible, too. Come on, man. Well, cool. Well, thanks for taking some time to chat with me today in Nashville, which is great because this is a cool little studio that we're in, or this little side room that we're in of the studio. But I see a studio every single day, but nothing nearly as extravagant as a music studio. So this is kind of cool for me, too.
Well, Nashville's full of these little weird places that you've never heard of that have all this history. And so, yeah, we're just here doing Pumpkin's background vocals. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're what? Minute and 30 seconds in, Pumpkins reference. So basically when they say you can't talk about Smashing Pumpkins, he can talk about Smashing Pumpkins. You can't. I'm like, what is this? Really? A minute in? Great.
Right here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Warbling away.
Well, and I mean, hit the ground running right after your solo album, Cotillions. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yeah. It's been an interesting period because, it took a while for that album to come out, and that's 17 songs. And then the new Pumpkins currently is about 21. So it's a lot of music in the last couple of years.
Yeah. 2019 has been pretty crazy for you then, much less, maintaining life at home and everything like that too, right?
Sure, yeah. I have a 1-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son who's out of his mind. And yeah, so, we reformed with James Iha in 2018 and did a massive tour, and then we did some touring last year, and then I put out the solo record, and I did some solo acoustic touring, plus doing the Pumpkins record, so it's been a super busy time.
Yeah, exactly. Might I add that this was taking place 2 months before COVID, before the world shut down? Dude, if I forgot to mention, this was in January of 2020. And it's crazy because all the interview opportunities or whatever, because there were a couple during this time, and I'm like, oh, so what do you got planned for 2020? And we got an anniversary tour. We're going to reunite with this person. We're going on the road with this person. None of that shit happened. Well, I'm going to be performing acoustic sessions from my living room because that's all I can fucking do. Yeah, wild. It was like 2 months before everything shut down. It was insane. I watched your documentary again about you hitting the road and going to all those little towns across the U.S. What made you decide to do that? Because, I mean, you hear of all these people out on the road, out on tour, like, hey, we're in Nashville, we're in Atlanta, we're in Indianapolis, but you went to like tiny towns in Alabama and Kentucky.
Sure. Yeah, I had a kind of a spiritual crisis a few years back where I wasn't really sure I wanted to play music anymore. It wasn't because I hated music. I just didn't understand like what the point of it all was. It gets very complicated, which it shouldn't. It's actually very simple. And so I found by taking these trips through America, mostly down Route 66, which is the classic road, although it's mostly decommissioned from Chicago to Los Angeles, I kind of found myself wanting to write about what I'd seen, and it inspired me to start writing songs again. And then through the process of writing those songs, I ended up doing an album with Rick Rubin. And Rick did a solo album of mine a few years back called OG Lala, and then Rick did the Pumpkins kind of comeback album in quotations called Shining Oh So Bright, and then this is the follow-up to the solo album I did with Rick. So it's been a very interesting period of music, but I certainly feel super motivated again, which I totally connect to those trips. They lit the fire back in me of like, simply put, and this is probably the lamest version of it, but simply put, if you told me when I was 18 growing up where I grew up in these, crappy suburbs outside of Chicago, that I would one day play the biggest stages in the world, experience all I've experienced, every magazine, every TV show, I would have pinched myself and said, no way, you're dreaming. And here I am many years later, grumpy about it all. And not only being disrespectful of my own journey, but of course all the people who, including my father, who would have hoped for those opportunities and didn't have them. And it kind of really put me back on track and said, no, you have plenty of music to make, and you got to get out of your own way and stop being a baby about the whole thing. And I just went back to writing songs and just really focusing on the music. As I know that's a horrible cliche, but it's really true. I just put my focus completely back on the music and stop paying attention to all the other stuff that goes on, particularly on social media. And I'm as motivated as I've ever been. And now that I have children, I'm even more motivated because, of course, I want to leave them something to tend to when I exit this earth.
Yeah. I remember at one point, and it could have very well been that moment, where I had to stop and just be like, is this your life right now? Is this really happening? And also, like, don't get me wrong, I'm still nervous as shit at this point. But I'm thinking, I'm like, what a cool person that I'm talking to. And you get like one of those moments where not only, oh my God, is this really happening? But you think like, I love him. It's just, it didn't really feel like an interview at that point, especially when it gets personable and he starts talking about his family or his kids or his, his upbringing, or, when he's reflecting on a negative time in his life, like it gets more personable. And I love so much having conversations like that. Well, I could imagine that, like taking trips like that kind of grounded you a little bit, because you can hear it in Cotillions too. Is it fair of me to say it's a little bit more daring, personal, a little bit more raw to you, just hearing?
Sure, yeah. I think that's a great point. I think there's something about the artifice of a rock band that's a bit like being in a major motion picture. You can kind of hide behind the character, you can hide behind all the bells and whistles and explosions. But when it's just you and an acoustic guitar or piano and your voice, I mean, there's not much you can do. It is starkly, it's the music equivalent of being naked. And you usually reserve that for our loved ones, so that puts it in some context.
Yeah, no, that's very well said too. It's almost like one of those things like, I got something to say, and it's me saying it, not Pumpkins, not whatever. It's me saying it.
Sure, yeah.
Pumpkins
and
reference.
It's even weird for me because I, for the most part, I wrote all the Pumpkin stuff too, but it was always written for this kind of...
Screw the rules. We're talking about Pumpkins machine, up in here.
This metal machine. So to really just say... I'm trying not to be too. Sometimes it feels like it's all cliches, but I mean, when you have a song and it's just an acoustic guitar and your voice, every lyric really matters, because you can sound you say the wrong thing and you sound dumb, or you sound like what is it you're talking about? It's a quick form to embarrassment. And I didn't grow up in the tradition of folk music. I had to learn it later in life. So even then, I'm kind of wandering around in a garden that I didn't necessarily pay attention to when I was a kid. When I was a kid, all I was listening to was the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. I wasn't listening to Burt Jansch and Ann Briggs and mid-period Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? So it's something I've had to learn, and sometimes people get weird about those musics because they're such soulful people musics that they're not always crazy about people coming in from the outside
those boots.
claiming turf on what is a very hard.
I miss those boots I'm wearing.
Turf. So I tried to be very
lost them in a motorcycle accident. That's a story for another time. I miss those boots. Damn it.
Yeah. Well, we still appreciate it too. I mean, we always give away tickets to see your solo shows or tickets to see the Pumpkins and stuff like that, and people are still very passionate about your music, whether it's by yourself or with a band or whatever. So you're doing something right?
It's very nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's 30 plus years and counting and still going, and you just shake your head that it's still going. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, good. So since you're here in Nashville today, do you have any free time to kind of check out the city, or do you spend a lot of time in Nashville to really do things other than this?
Well, so far on this trip, I've just been co-writing with one of the friends of mine who's a music artist here, and basically just work all day, and then at night been doing the co-writes. So haven't even gone out, haven't done anything fun. No honky tonking yet.
His foot is just propped up on the.
What's the place everyone keeps talking about?
Table.
Rogers or
Robert's Western World.
Yeah,
Roberts,
that's a pretty good spot.
It's the best.
I would like that because they play old school country there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a lot of places here. I remember a few years back, I really enjoyed going to Skulls. Is it the burlesque place? Great place, nice people.
Never been to Skulls.
Yeah, I mean,
convince me that I need to go to Skulls because I still haven't been.
Yeah.
Lived here typical 15 years and I still haven't been to Skulls.
Typical boring musician. No drugs, no parties, no groupies, just work.
That's the stereotypical rock star. Who was it?
There's not a lot wrong with the stereotypes. I just haven't indulged in them lately.
Right? Well, that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to go backstage at a rock show. It's like, go backstage at a rock show. It's really not what you think it is.
I think it was like that in the 70s.
Yeah.
I think we missed our period there.
I've had some boring-ass backstage experience. I've had some fucking crazy.
You know what? I don't listen to a lot of music when I'm working on music. I know that's lame, but I just don't.
Coming soon, trust me.
Lately, the person I was listening to the most was probably Elton John. I listen to. I would do these weird deep dives where I'll listen to I'll pick an artist and I'll start from the first album and listen until I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah,
I love it that he said Elton John. So many times I ask that question. And they're like, yeah, there's this Australian EDM band that you've never heard of. They're really cool. You should check them out. And then they start naming all these like crazy shit. He's like, yeah, you know what? I love Elton John. I love it.
Yeah. So I listen to every song, every album.
Yeah.
Because there's something about listening to somebody's musical journey. Like Elton John's a perfect example. Like the Elton John that everybody knows. I mean, it took him time to find that guy. And there's a lot of hits and misses in those. Obviously the hits are massive, but there's a lot of misses too, and you can learn a lot from the misses even, because you have the same person, same time frame, same talent. So it's and these days there's such compression in the marketplace as far as why people listen to music.
I'm so happy that they put us in two recliners.
That they could take more chances.
It didn't feel like an interview at all. There was no microphone in front of both of us.
I have not seen the documentary. I saw the. Are you talking about the movie?
The Rocket Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. Okay. I thought it was interesting what they tried to do.
So it was like a musical.
Yeah. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it, and I've been lucky in that I've got to meet Elton a few times, and he's always been super lovely. So at least I have that in my heart that I know. Could you
imagine? Could you imagine meeting Elton? Just serious question.
In essence, what I'm saying is, even though I'm watching the story of his life, however fake or real that it is, I've also been lucky to meet the person, so I can connect the dots there, as opposed to just looking at a movie and saying, well, I don't know what is real.
Yeah. But that's cool. I mean, the fact that you got to meet Elton on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. Got to meet a lot of people, and yeah, it's been an amazing life. That's what I'm saying. When I was wandering around Route 66 all grumpy, I really had to kind of pinch myself, at that point and say, what are you doing? And it's good. You know, as anybody who has kids knows, it has a way of kind of straightening you out. So I think that plus the kids really kind of got me back on track.
Yeah. Well, before I let you go and let you do your thing, what do you got planned for 2020? New year?
Groupies, drugs, bacchanal, parties.
Nothing fancy.
Come backstage. Pumpkins come through town next. Come backstage. It's going to be wild.
Yeah. Do you have any more information on the Pumpkins album, or is that all you're going to give us? Is that it's in the works?
It's currently 21 songs. I've been working on it for over a year. It's pretty different in a good way, I think. Everyone who's heard it likes it a lot, so that's a good sign. We're going to do some touring. We're playing a big festival in Atlanta, I think April or May, Shaky Knees.
Yeah.
None of this shit happened
not sure
that year.
we're playing Nashville this year.
It's so sad.
Actually, I think we might. I might be giving a secret away. We might be doing a little surprisey gig soon.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
You know,
COVID's like,
I'll invite you backstage.
fuck that.
Nuts. Crazy. Bring the camera.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for taking. It's been awesome to meet you, and yeah, we continue to play Smashing Pumpkins and everything. It's great.
Appreciate everyone. That's all I can say. Appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy. I remember by the end of it thinking, what a cool guy. What a cool guy. Why the hell did I, why was I about to just collapse in anxiety before this? Because he was a very lovely person. As a matter of fact, don't come at me for this, but he is a black cat dad as well. And I have 2 Panthers at home, and I think he had 2 at the time too. I'm like, dude, there's nothing stopping me from starting to talk about cats now. And I'm like, I don't want to go too off kilter, but I could have totally pulled it off. He was such a kind person. And even like looking back, because when you're in the middle of the interview, it's like you don't look at little details, or I don't anyway, because I'm trying to stay focused. But watching back, like watching him smile and giggle a couple times and also like really listen, he was very in tune, and I love that. I love that about him. It went so well. I would totally do it again, and I thought that was just especially a cool person to talk to. Also, I did what I shouldn't have done, is go in the comments and start looking at comments. Dude, if I had a damn dollar for any time someone said I look like a brunette Amy Schumer, especially in that video, people are like, oh my God, she's like Amy Schumer. I'm like, dude, I get that shit all the time. But there were no bad comments. Actually, there was one comment in there that said something like, I heard he's not easy to interview. And someone commented back and said, with the right host, he thrives. And I'm like, okay, I think I did something right. All I did was talk to him. I'm not going to ask him a bunch of weird bullshit, but he's 10 out of 10 human being. Would 100% talk to him again. And next time I would do it with way more ease, because I was losing my shit leading up to that day. But I hope you enjoyed it. You can actually see all my interviews up at HaleySt.John.com. You can submit your stories at HaleySt.John.com/podcast or therealmp3s.com. I'm going to leave you with that. But hey, guess what? Next week, I have a guest on my podcast. Somebody that I have known for quite some time. If you've heard of his band, awesome. You should hear about his band, Unlikely Candidates. If not, look them up. They're fantastic. I will be talking to Kyle next week, and he has some awesome stories from being out on the road. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, stories welcome at HaleySt.John.com/podcast, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.